Thank you for joining the RTC's Regional Project Coordination Committee meeting. Chair Scott Jarvis, staff is ready for you to begin the meeting.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. Again, this is Chair Scott Jarvis for the record. I'd like to call to order the September 16th, 2020 meeting of the RTC Regional Project Coordination Committee. RTC staff will begin with a roll call of committee members, introduce staff on the line, and touch on a few housekeeping items.
Thank you, Chair Jarvis. David Gloria, Management Analyst for the RTC for the record. I'll be calling your name in alphabetical order. Please confirm your attendance as I read your name. Carlos Espinoza.
Present.
Russell Fitzpatrick. Russell, could we get a quick confirmation?
Present.
Thank you, Russell. Chris Helba.
Here.
Mike Hudgens. Mike Hudgens, just wanted to confirm that you are on the meeting. Sorry, Mike, I just unmuted your line.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thanks, Mike. Scott Jarvis.
Here.
Abby Mayrena.
I'm here. Good morning.
Amine Pennington.
Good morning. I'm here.
April Raybuck.
Good morning. I'm here.
Gary Skinner.
I'm here.
Jacob Snow.
I'm here.
Mark Sorensen.
Here.
Corey Stacy. Corey Stacy with Kern River Gas.
I'm here.
Thank you. And we also have Chris Dingle.
I'm here.
Thanks. Also, please note we have several RTC staff on the line for today's meeting. This includes Mr. John Penuelas, Senior Director of Engineering, Mr. Joe Damiani, Manager of Engineering, Ms. Gina Kendall, Principal Project Engineer, Ms. Julia Yuravich, Senior Project Engineer, Mr. Todd Gurney, GIS Analyst, and Ms. Reagan Lively, Management Analyst, will be reading public comments. As the chair mentioned, I have a few housekeeping items to go over. When Chair Jarvis asks for comments from the committee or calls for a vote, please remember to unmute yourself before speaking. Remember to state your name for the record before providing comment. Be sure to mute your line if you are not speaking. Voting will be done verbally. When the chair will call for ayes and nays. If there are no nays, then the motion will carry. If there are nays, then a roll call vote will be required. In the event of a roll call vote, please wait for your name to be read to provide your vote. The chair will call for any comments or questions after an item has been presented. Thank you, Chair Jarvis.
Thank you very much, David. Mr. Damiani, for the first item, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Jarvis and members of the committee. Joe Damiani, Manager of Engineering for the record. The first item on your agenda is to conduct your first citizens participation period. As you know, on March 22nd, 2020, the State of Nevada Executive Department issued Declaration of Emergency Directive 006, which suspended the requirement to have a physical location for public meetings. Pursuant to Directive 006, and for the health and safety of the community, this meeting is being held telephonically. To allow for public participation, the RTC is accepting public comments via email at publiccomments@rtcsnv.com. Comments can be submitted to be read aloud or to be added directly to the written record. Ms. Reagan Lively will read the public comments received by the RTC.
Thank you, Mr. Damiani. Reagan Lively, Management Analyst for the RTC for the record. There are no public comments.
I'm sorry, everyone. I was shuffling papers and I got a little confused on the order there, so definitely my apologies. This is Chair Scott Jarvis for the record. This is the first time set aside for public comment. This time is limited to comments on items included on the agenda. Comments will be limited to the first 500 words, with remaining words to be included in the written record. Do we have any comments?
Thank you, Chair Jarvis. Reagan Lively, Management Analyst for the RTC. For the record, there are no public comments at this time.
Thank you, Reagan. Moving on to the next item then. Mr. Damiani, back to you.
Thank you, Chair Jarvis. Joe Damiani, RTC. Item number 2 is to approve the minutes. The minutes are in order and ready for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Damiani. Are there any comments or questions from the committee regarding the minutes? Hearing no questions or comments, do we have a motion on the floor from someone, please?
This is Carlos Espinoza. Motion to approve.
Thank you, Carlos. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say aye. Are there any opposed? Motion carries then. Thank you. Moving on to the next item. Mr. Damiani, back to you.
Thank you, Chair Jarvis. Item number 3 is to receive an updated list of entity and utility company contact persons and direct staff accordingly. RTC has not received any updates at this time, and if any member has any updates to add, we will update the contact list.
I do have one item on this one from the city of Henderson. One of our longtime real property agents, Mary Bear, she has, my apologies, Mary's no longer with us. If we could please remove her from the contact list, it'd be appreciated. Are there any other additions to the contact list from any of the members?
This is Abby Maimena from Regional Flood. I just noticed our web link is outdated, so it's no longer CCRFCD, so someone can change that to regionalflood.org. Thank you.
Anybody else? If there are no more questions or comments, we can move on to the next item. Thank you. Mr. Damiani, back to you.
Thank you, Chair Jarvis. Joe Damiani, RTC. Item number 4 is to receive information regarding approved planned projects from member entities and utility companies. At this time, the RTC has no projects to discuss, but just to inform you that the map is continuously being kept up to date, and it is as accurate as we know.
That is awesome news. Thank you so much. This, I'm sure everybody will agree, this map has come a long way in a very short time, and it is very beneficial for all. Do any of the committee members have any questions or comments for the agenda item? Seeing none, let's move on to the next one. Back to you, Mr. Damiani.
Thank you, Chair Jarvis. We will introduce the next 2 items together, as we will be displaying the RPC GIS map to discuss roadway projects in the design and construction phases. Item 5 is to discuss the project starting in the engineering design phase of project delivery, and item 6 is to discuss projects that will soon be starting the construction phase of the project. With this, Mr. Chair, I would like to point out that this map is currently being up to date, and I wanted to show something that I don't know if I've gone over with everybody yet, but besides adding the entitlement projects, and when entitlement projects changes phase, we highlight the parcel boundary to correlate with the color of the phase. But one final thing that we found, thanks to Ken Satowski with our group, who found this layer that we had and our GIS group that had it added. If you click on the dust permits, this is now every project that has a dust permit that should be going into construction and provides the information accordingly. So we were able to add these layers to the map. And that, I think, is now providing us with a complete record of what is actually happening in the valley. I will point out that Ken is feverishly going through the map to try to eliminate the duplicate entries. If they are the same project, just one's our record and one's the dust permit layer, then Ken is going through and trying to reduce them to show the most accurate, which would be the dust permit layer, because that has actual contact information for people working on the project. So we'll be removing the underlayer of the whatever that one is if it's the same project. If it is a different project, however, we will leave it up there because that is the purpose of this map, to identify overlaying projects that are in the same vicinity that can be hopefully coordinated together. So with that, we are continuously keeping this up to date, and we're getting it as accurate as we can. And with that, I would plead to everybody that it's only as accurate as the information provided by agencies on their other projects. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions on items 5 and 6.
This is Chair Jarvis. Once again, kudos to the RTC. That is a very cool layer you guys identified and just added. I can see where that could be very helpful in the future. So thank you for being proactive and figuring out there's something you could do to make this tool even more valuable. That's great. Any other comments or questions from the committee? Hearing none. Mr. Damiani, let's move on to the next item. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Chair Jarvis. Joe Damiani with the RTC. That'll bring us to item number 7, which is to receive a report regarding the current status of revisions to the uniform standard specifications and drawings. This is our standing item, and no action is required. It provides you an update of where the drawings, where in the process the drawings and specification revisions are in our system. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. One thing, Mr. Chair, if I would point out, a question came up at the home builders meeting yesterday. There's a specification revision to section 703, which was revised, and at the last spec meeting, we made some clarification revisions to it. And it's my understanding that requirement for the PG oil is now a part of the IQAC approval and becomes effective October 1st. I think the utility companies might want to take note of that. And I don't have anything else.
Thank you for that, Mr. Damiani. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, let's move on to the next one. Back to you, Mr. Damiani.
Thank you. Joe Damiani, RTC. Item number 8 is to discuss topics of interest. This is an opportunity for committee members to share updates or information with other members.
Is there anything that a member of the committee would like to share?
This is Abby Myrana from Regional Flood Control District. Just wanted to bring up, because of the wonderful map here, the district is also is in the process of creating a dashboard. So it's just district project specific, but it's kind of mimicking what our PCCC has done. So just wanted to bring that up. It's still in the process, but it's basically a copy of all the information regarding projects and timeline, construction and design, all that stuff. That's all. Thanks.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Abby, if we could, can we ensure that Michael and your GIS and Todd and our GIS are continually to talk to make sure your updates and our updates are seamless behind the scenes?
Yes, definitely. And I was in the map this morning and I noticed that there was some missing info or outdated info. So I will get together with the entities and make sure I'll provide that info to Todd within the next 2 weeks. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Joe.
Does any other committee members have an item or that they'd like to bring up, topic of interest?
This is Carlos Espinoza. I actually apologize. So I'm with you, Scott, on being a little bit behind. Joe, can we back up? You mentioned about the IQAC now incorporating the PG oil. How soon is that going to be implemented?
Well, that would be a question for the quality control divisions of the agencies. However, my understanding is that the renewals of the mixed designs were required to be updated on the IQAC starting effective October 1st, which is when I think they were going to require those mixed designs to include the PG oil. So I believe anything after the mixed designs expire and the new ones are effective, I think that's when it would become effective.
Okay, great. No, thank you.
Glad to see, Carlos. I'm not the only one that sometimes gets confused and behind. That makes me feel good. Any other comments or questions from any committee members? Back to you, Mr. Damiani.
Thank you. Joe Damiani, RTC. And our last item on the agenda is your final citizens participation.
Thank you, Mr. Damiani. Chair Scott Jarvis again. This is the second time set aside for public comment. Just a reminder, the comments will be limited to the first 500 words, with the remaining words to be included in the written record. Do we have any comments?
Thank you, Chair Jarvis. Reagan Lively, Management Analyst for the RTC. For the record, there are no public comments at this time.
Thank you, Reagan. If there are no additional comments from anybody else, then I will close this item. With that being said, is there anything else? Hearing nothing, I believe then we can adjourn this meeting.